Well, good afternoon. Let me unplug that and try again or start again just in case it was muted. Well, good afternoon and thank you for tuning into my little webcast. I'm out and about on my daily bicycle ride here next to the beautiful and mesmerizing Lake Ontario. And I thought to myself, well, I've started this new YouTube channel, and in an effort to attract more users, in an effort to, isn't it amazing? That's Porter Airport, and there's your plane taking off. Now, in terms of like scenic panorama, you're going to definitely find more valuable and enriching and engaging content on other channels and at the behest of other YouTubers. But I can guarantee you that you're not going to find very many YouTubers that go out of their way, my dear fellow and madam to bring you vintage panoramas like this, right? So that area over there, I call this section condo city. Anyway, I may or may not get back to that. I do want to, within the first 2 minutes, just briefly point at what I want to be talking about. I have been talking about a couple of things on this channel: proofs of God's existence / Islam, as well as, and of course, my ongoing recovery, being a former weed addict and having spent 12 years in and out of jails, on and off the street, in and out of psych wards, right? These kinds of things. I thought I would start a new channel, and not a new channel, but a new playlist or something like this, and talk about something else, something which is of crucial importance to everybody, right? And which I consider myself to have some knowledge and experience in terms of sales and spirituality, and the scores and scores and perhaps hundreds of self-help, self-improvement books and courses and whatnot that I've studied. So the topic, of course, is getting along with others, right? So when I was 14 years old, I read the classic Dale Carnegie book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. And what I've realized in my life, my dear viewer, it seems to me that more or less what we want, not what we want in life, but what we want from moment to moment, like in terms of your awareness of yourself and you're alive and these things, and you are a being, your I/me. There's three things that you're constantly tuned into and you want. You want to feel good. You want to feel good within yourself, which is a sense of peace, a sense of well-being. This is the way I would put that. Most people are focused on feeling confident. They want to feel confident, and they want to feel energized, and they want to feel empowered. My whole thing is, ultimately, you simply want a feeling of peace and well-being, right? Like shy people, they want to somehow become extroverted, and they want to be talking loud and all these kinds of things. And I'm a shy person, and I've discovered that you don't have to be loud, and you don't have to have extroverted traits of character. As a salesperson, I can say that a sales trainer, a so-called sales expert, I can tell you that introverts actually are the best salespeople. You know, a humble and positive and earnest person. Sales is not about talking, it's about listening and asking questions. And right there is a real tip I just want to throw out in the early minutes of this video, which is everyone wants to get along with others. Okay, actually that's part two. But the three things that we want are to feel good, to get along with others, and then to feel successful, right? And I'll talk about each of these things at some point, perhaps on other videos. I perhaps will circle around them here. But in terms of feeling good, this is a separate discussion. This is more along the lines of my recovery videos, where basically you get to a point in life where you realize that, again, just being happy and a sense of well-being, this is the ultimate blessing, right? So now, in terms of success, this is another long discussion, right? And I haven't achieved it in worldly terms myself. I used to have a nice job and a nice car, live in a nice place. My wife is the same, and we lived in nice places, and we went on vacations and flew to different places, and we had lots of money and these kinds of things. And we had an enjoyable 10 years, 7 to 10 years of we really enjoyed ourselves, more or less, something like this. But in any case, I've been through some upheavals in the past 10-15 years. I was recently released from jail, and in any case, getting along with others, the tip I wanted to tell you right off the bat is, in terms of conversations, this is a sub topic within the topic of how to get along with others, right? Having good conversations. Everyone wants to be a good conversationalist, and let me just tell you, the best conversationalist is the guy or the girl that listens the best, right? Because everyone likes talking. This is one of those things where it turns the whole thing on its head. If you can listen earnestly and sincerely to someone and ask questions and really make them feel like they're being listened, this is the best kind of conversation to have, right? And in terms of being earnest and sincere, what I wanted to talk about in this video is really the following, this basic following this thing. So now, in terms of getting along with others, most people are focused on, okay, I gotta look good and smell good and sound good and say the right things. I gotta be confident. And then you have this image of some kind of magnetic personality, like you have some kind of aura. And some people do seem to have this thing, right? You have some kind of aura, and people are gravitating towards you in this kind of stuff. My whole thing is, instead of worrying about cosmetic things like this, right, what you should focus on is the inside, the inner stuff, right? So you come across someone in your day-to-day life, and here's the thing: if you want to get along with that person, the crux and the key is not saying the right things or being confident or these kinds of things. It's about having feelings of goodwill and these kinds of things. Basically, what ultimately becomes loving that person, what is called loving that person. You radiate a sense of love to this person. This is the key to this whole thing. In order to get along with others, the thing that you have to figure out is to be able to radiate love to others. Now, at the same time, in order to do this properly, you do need to have quadrant 1 figured out. Quadrant 1 is to feel good about yourself. And that is something that I discuss in a link that I have in my description, how to change your life with one decision, right? And the whole crux there is that you channel your best self from moment to moment. The one thing that you should be trying to do in life is, instead of going with your day-to-day thoughts and feelings and emotions and this thing that you get up in the morning and these thoughts take over, right? And this compulsive day-to-day chatter in your mind, right? I was on YouTube and I just subscribed to Eckhart Tolle, the spiritual master and the author of The Power of Now, a groundbreaking book, if I may, which affected and impacted and influenced me greatly, as well as millions of other people. And he's got this one video, literally with 4 million views, and it blows my mind. And the topic of that video is how to quiet your inner voice, right? So this inner chatter, this thing takes over. And the problem is, you think this thing is you. This is the whole thing. Eckhart Tolle talks about it in his book, right? This mind, this compulsive, obsessive, ego-based mind with these day-to-day thoughts. This is a whole other discussion. I urge you to click on that link, How to Change Your Life with One Decision. Renamed, as it were, from How to Change Your Life in One Instant with One Decision. It sounds too good to be true, right? And in any case, right now I'm basically just scouring scouring the platform, searching for clicks and things like this, right? And trying to get us something going here. Like, I've got one video on this new channel with almost 100 views, and this is huge in my world. Anyway, so now going back to this whole thing, okay, so again, if you want to get along with others, stop focusing on what Stephen Covey, the author of The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, forget what he talks about and calls personality ethic. The personality ethic is having a firm handshake and making eye contact and talking like firmly or like whatever, like loudly, like and confidently, and these externalities, right? These are less important, right? I like to say that respect versus honor is something like this. Respect means you're polite, you say the right words and all these kinds of things, and it's like a professional. That's what respect is. You act in a professional manner. However, honor is something different. Honor is inside of your heart, and this is what I'm trying to say in this video, dear user, right? If you're one of the handful of people that may or may not stumble onto the video that I'm presently engaged in creating, then honor is the whole deal. Like, you need to learn to honor other people. Ideally, you need to be in a place where you're feeling a sense of peace and well-being. In fact, what happens is, if you do what I'm telling you, watch this video, How to Change Your Life with One Decision, and figure out how to channel your better self. You do have a choice from moment to moment to represent your day-to-day self, your day-to-day thoughts and negative compulsions, and this whole thing that just kicks in as soon as you're awake and it just takes you over. You have to step outside of that thing, and you have to, from moment to moment, channel your better self. And when you start channeling your better self, okay, as soon as you tap into this thing, you feel a sense of peace and a sense of goodness, a sense of humility. And it doesn't have to be loud and extroverted and this whole thing of like this guy with charisma and you're radiating this aura that people are attracted to. Forget all of that. It's all nonsense, right? All you want is to have genuine interactions with people. It could be quiet, it could be hushed, it could be low key, right? It's filled with humility and things like this. It's not about loud and these stereotypes, right? Like, as usual, the stereotypes about success with people, you know, they paint this picture of some person that basically is not you and is not anyone you know, apart from maybe 1 or 2 people you've ever met in your life. There are some people that are loud and funny and genuinely just, they have this thing, right? But if that's not you, they have this thing where they attract other people, and you just feel compelled every time they're around. You want to go near them or talk to them and things like this. I dare say that if you start channeling your real self, right? I'm kind of reluctant to say this thing, but it's the case that this has started happening to me, and it's very odd to me that people do stop and talk to me now, and they keep me engaged, and all kinds of people, and sometimes I have to stand there and I'm just patiently listening, and then I realized I should be grateful that I actually have started to develop this thing where people like to gravitate to me and they like to talk to me and stuff like this. And you know, this day-to-day ego-based mind, aka the devil, right? Aka your bad self, your false self, your lower self, your ego. You know, this thing, unfortunately, this thing is judgmental. Among other things, your whole ego-based self is total crap. right? And your whole goal in life should be to recognize when it's trying to kick in, and you should step out of that and turn on your best self, channel your higher self. This is what you need to do. The rest of it you shouldn't worry about. This is the real thing. Now, once you start doing this, you start generating a feeling of peace and well-being and contentment, and then this actually starts overflowing to those around you. I mean, part and parcel of being your best self is you become more compassionate and you become less judgmental. And again, my key message in this video is that you have to, if you want to get along with others, you have to start to learn to love others, more or less. This is the ultimate. You have to become tolerant. You have to become compassionate. You have to continually forgive. Wa'afu an kathir, wasfahu. Wa'afu wasfahu, says the Quran. Like, forgive and overlook. Wa'afu an kathir. Forgive a lot of stuff, right? So now, what happens in life, and I was this way myself for the longest time, is you meet someone new, and if you're a guy, you want to talk to some attractive girl and these kinds of things, and you are essentially identified with this ideal of being a good people person and connecting with people, and you feel like, you know, we're gregarious by nature. We're social animals. Babies interact with each other and make friends and trade and do different things like this, right? And exchange ideas and information. Information. What you have to learn is to stop the judgmental stuff. And ultimately, the way to stop that is by tuning into your higher self. Like every self-improvement hack, everything, positive self-image and self-affirmations and visualization, law of attraction, like subconscious programming, these kinds of things, positive speaking, all of it only works when you channel into your higher self. And when you channel into your higher self, you start doing all these things automatically. So now I'm saying to you, and my key message again, dear user, in this video is that if you want to get along with other people, then you must not have like a judgmental or negative thought or vibes towards others, right? If you're trying to talk to some guy or some girl, if you're trying to connect with someone in a meaningful way, it has to be based on love and a good feeling and a feeling of honor, right? So again, what happens is you judge people. This is the thing. This is what you should work on, right? And people say, and my mom used to say this, God bless her, basically you see the faults that you see in others are basically part in yourself as well, right? I mean, I'm not sure if this is always the case, but it's something to think about. There's a beautiful saying of Imam Ali's, peace be upon him. He says, look for the bad in yourself and look for the good in others. And he says in another place, you should always consider yourself lower or less than the other person and other people. And you should never consider yourself superior to others. Unfortunately, when you're operating from a place of lower self, the ego-based self, this ego-based self considers itself superior to others, and it lords itself over others. You know what I'm talking about if you're listening to this, and you have to stop doing this. You have to work on those individual thoughts, and ultimately you have to plug into and channel your higher self. And if you don't do that, you're not going to be happy. And if you don't do that, you're not going to get along with others. And if you don't do that, you're not going to be successful. The key to everything is to plug into and channel your higher self, to represent and channel your higher self. When you plug into your higher self, you feel a deep sense of goodness. This is the best way I can describe it, right? People are like, oh, yo, I'm trying to find myself in these kinds of things. There's nowhere to look and nowhere to go. You're right there. Just like they say that God is there everywhere with you. and enlightenment, and everything you want is right there with you at the moment, right? And of course I'm keeping the little ducklings in the frame, and I'm thinking to myself, I should perhaps start bringing out some breadsticks or some other munchkins for these animals. You know, it's October now here in Toronto. It's still t-shirt weather. It's 2 t-shirt weather, right? I got like a rain jacket in my backpack, and a cover to cover the backpack lest it rain. It was pouring buckets this morning, right? And there was a chance, like a 45% chance of a rain shower right now, like in the afternoon. But I still had to get on my bike and come out here, and I came out to on a different way than before, right? So my little bicycle, my little $20 bicycle. I was saying this is Condo City, and then I actually worked as a security guard in one of these buildings. Like, actually, if I'm not mistaken, it's like one of these right here, these 2 at the end. You can't really see them, but it's one of these 2. There was 3 condominium buildings, right? And through the grace of God, like in whatever career, or more or less whatever area of my life, like circumstances and situations that I've been in, through the grace of God, I feel so blessed, and I feel so sorry for others sometimes. I don't know what to say. I hope I don't sound superior or pretentious. I don't mean it like that at all. Like, I've been blessed with so much, and like, yeah. So I was working as a security guard after selling software 2 and 4 Fortune 500s for 10 years, I like to say. Oracle Corporation, Computer Associates, CompuWare. I was at CompuWare briefly. Oracle's been in the news recently. They're doing really good, like the highest moving stock in the SAP or some nonsense like this year, because they closed a bunch of big AI deals, like huge billion-dollar deals. And as a sales guy, I'm thinking, wow, imagine a commission on a billion-dollar deal. Like in enterprise sales, when you're closing multi-million-dollar deals, 6 and 7 figure deals, these are the kinds of deals I worked on. You should expect more or less a 2 or 3% commission. It's not like 10 or 15, right? But if you're talking billions of dollars, like if you close a $1 billion deal, then 1,000th of that is $1 million. So this is pretty huge. 1,000th is 0.001% or something like this, 0.01%, some nonsense. It's a fraction of 1%, right? So I mean, more or less, you're going to be getting a $20 million paycheck if you close a $1 billion deal. Anyway, I'm rambling and thinking out loud. I sold software forever, and then I basically destroyed my life by smoking weed. I smoked weed like for 12 years, I like to say, although it's not funny, it's just one of those things you say as a sales and marketing guy who likes coming up with lines, right? So now 12 years a bipolar slave. If you get the Apple iPhone and go to iBooks, you can for free get the audiobook of 12 years a slave. And you, for free, iPhone users, you can get the audiobook, The Great Gatsby. and F. Scott Fitzgerald is another, what a character, right? Like, oh ye success hunters, and oh ye salivators who look at people like myself. I did this forever, and I still do it from time to time, and then I gotta catch myself. You look at someone like an Elon Musk or a Jeff Bezos or a Mark Cuban, like these kinds of guys, and they're like, they've been billionaires for like 20 years. And you're thinking, what kind of amazing existence these guys must have. Or a Taylor Swift, right? She just killed it last year with her Eras tour, like literally a it was in the billions of dollars, at least, like it was $1.3 billion or something like this that they generated from this one tour in 1 year. This is insane. This is just one enterprise. Like, it's like if you have a company that does $1 billion in a year, this is huge, right? And so she's just one person. And for a company to do $1 billion, you need about 10,000 employees. Anyway, it's amazing. Like this whole thing, like you think about it and you're like, wow, these amazing people. But on the other hand, I'm just here to tell you, like, forget about all of that, right? You look at all these people and you're like, wow, and what have I done? And you have this knowing sense of failure and this kind of nonsense. I guess these are some I go around in circles. If you're listening, I appreciate it. And if you've soldiered through this video, I do appreciate it. So now I want to talk about, I suppose, some or all of these things. So I will start a self-help or self-improvement type of channel. And yeah, in terms of the people thing, so again, you have to address this part of you, which is judgmental of others. When you see another person, when you see another person, you must train yourself to direct positive energy and good thoughts towards another person. You must, like Imam Ali said, peace be upon him, seek your own faults and look for the good in others, right? If you're judging somebody for something, then try and be humble and always remain humble and think about your own thoughts and mistakes and think about all the wretched and depraved and ridiculous and illegal and immoral things that you've done that person probably has not done, right? These kinds of things. Now, again, like wrapping up here, because I like to end these at 30 minutes. You need to generate positive thoughts and direct them at people, and then or have a tolerant attitude, an open attitude, and then you can be successful. Then the thing happens by itself, right? So then what happens is that even people that you're not interested in and don't even want to talk to, they just start gravitating towards you, and then you got a whole different set of problems. But the key is always the same, to always be battling these. It takes years, of course, and you got to stay at it, right? You got to get to a point where you like people and you love people. And if you want to think about, or if you want the ultimate position, which is the Islamic position, right? I like to say that mi esposa es colombiana, cristiana. My wife is from Colombia, Bogota, Colombia. She's a Christian. I'm a Muslim. I like to say that, well, my wife is a Christian. That pretty much makes me a Christian. But Islam, moreover, is Christianity plus. And Christianity is Judaism plus. I mean, that's really what it is. And Islam is a watered down version of the Torah, the Toraic law, right? The Judaic law, which was very harsh and way more harsh and extreme. And in fact, I'm sorry, just read the Old Testament. There's parts of it that are simply absurd in terms of like the punishment and the law of the Old Testament. If you actually read Deuteronomy or Leviticus, you'll be very surprised. Anyway, like Sharia law is a way watered down version of that and a beefed up version of Christianity. Anyway, the Christian approach is love thy neighbor like thyself. But the Islamic approach goes one step further, Christianity plus. Awwal jar thumma dar. First the neighbor, then the home. So the neighbor is given precedence and preference and superiority. Again, Imam Ali said that you should consider yourself less to others, and you should consider others superior to yourself. And our other Imams from the family of Muhammad, who us Shias follow, they've basically said that you should consider, more or less, you should consider yourself worse or less worthy or whatever that is, worse or more of a bad person or whatever that is than other people, than anyone else, anyone. Why? There's a rational basis behind this. You know all of your evil thoughts and deeds and all of the horrible things that you've done or thought about doing or fantasized about or whatever. You don't know anything like this about the next person, not even close. So to that extent, you should belittle yourself in your eyes and elevate that person. So I'll talk more about these things on another video. I appreciate you tuning in. I'd love to hear from you. So comments are appreciated, and have a great day.